Hello, today we're coming with a review. My name is Young Zuwop, and this is a review for the iPhone 10, or also known as the iPhone X, for your favorite thing, tech reviews. So, if you're not quite familiar with the Apple brand, I can start this video up with saying that Apple is a phone making company, and they also make other accessories and other forms of technology, and they've been doing so since around the 80s, right? And this is one of the most fastest phones that there are to date, and there's not quite much better than this in regards to Apple's competitors, that being Samsung and LG and other Android companies such as that. So this is a review for anybody that might want to possibly purchase this but are not quite sure. You might have be scrolling across the your favorite things tech page and might see this phone and might not exactly know what the internals are or the exteriors are or exactly what the features are, what accessories come with it, things of that nature. So that's what I'm here to do this review on. So to start off, this is how the phone looks when you have it off, and I can turn it off real quick by pressing the right home or the right power button and the bottom button at the same time, and then swiping off. That's how you turn the phone off. But once it shuts off completely, I'll show you how to turn the phone off. So let's say you just got the phone, you took it out the box, and now you want to turn it off, turn it on. So all you have to do is hold the right button for around 10 to 15 seconds, and then it should power on. And once you turn this phone on, you should see the Apple logo. And once the phone turns on, I'll get into the features and the history of the phone and exactly, what you can do with this phone, and how to get used to the gestures on it. Because if you've owned the previous iPhone, you might not initially be familiar with the functionality and the usage of this phone, considering there is no actual physical home button. So I'm just waiting for the iPhone to boot up, and it should take several seconds. So you just have to hold on the right. Usually it doesn't take that long, but you just have to give it a minute or a little while. So once you see the Apple logo on, and that's a good sign. This is a refurbished iPhone X. So pretty much once you get in, you can access the phone one of two ways. Now I'm not starting this phone. I'm not using this from scratch. I've used this for several weeks, so that's why I don't need to type in my iCloud information. But there will be a separate tutorial on how to do that. And there are two different ways you can access the phone now. The previous feature called Touch ID is removed, where you could just simply put your finger over the bottom of the screen and use your fingerprint to unlock your phone, which was pretty secure and convenient. But however, that feature is now gone, and you can use your face to unlock it. So all you have to do is look on the screen once you have it configured, and once you have it configured, just look at on the screen, and it should take a couple moments. Now, when you first start up the phone, you'll need to type in your password. So let me type in mine real quick. But after you first start up the phone, then after that, you should just be able to just look in the phone and you see that symbol unlocked at the top. So that's how to turn on the iPhone, and that's how to unlock it. And you can always change this in the settings. You'll be able to set this up from scratch when you first get the phone. But once you have all that set up, you'll be pretty familiar. You can just go on the settings and just simply type Face ID. And Face ID and passcode, you can edit it whenever you want. So let's get into the uses of the phone. So this is the home screen. And the home screen is pretty much the primary place where you'll see all the icons or the images, that you can press to access a given app. There'll be the respective title or name of the app, and there'll also be the icon for it, so you'll know exactly which app you're about to use. Now, by default, you'll have to go to the App Store to download any third-party apps by any other developers. But besides that, also it's important to mention that if you have a previous iPhone, you can also transfer your data and your apps from one iPhone to another, there'll be probably a separate video for that. And there are the four main apps that comes with the iPhone. You'll have the phone app. The phone app, you can pretty much call any person that you want. The messages app, you can pretty much text any given individual you want. Now, the way iMessages work, it sort of combines the actual messages that with your carrier, that the SMS, and it also combines its own servers or its own texting feature that you can pretty much, even without paying the phone bill on this, you can still text people as long as you have access to internet, which is pretty neat. This is Safari. This is the internet app. and you can use the look up anything you want online. You can download a different browser like Google Chrome if you want. Besides that, you have the settings app, which you can change and modify any settings, and I'll get on to what everything in the setting does in a minute. And you have the Notes app. The Notes app, you can type in anything you want. So this is just, me just covering the different apps that come with it. You have the Weather app. You can look up the weather for the day. You have to allow the location. And another thing you can do to access the weather, you can be like, you can hold this right button. This right button on previous iPhones was just to turn on or turn off the iPhone, but now you have to if you just right click it by itself, you can turn on Siri. Now, if you don't know what Siri is, it's sort of similar to like the version that Amazon has, Alexa. You can pretty much talk into it and get it to do whatever you want with it. You can ask it to do a certain thing. So once you have it configured, you can be like, hey Siri, what's the weather?
Here's the forecast for today.
So that's another thing you can do with Siri. You can say, Siri, set a reminder on October 1st for my birthday.
Okay.
So that's another feature you can do with Siri. You can speak into it and then it can do whatever function you want to. And those are the main apps that you want to use. Now, aside from that, here are how to access one app from another. Now, on previous iPhones, you could just double click a button at the bottom to get from app to app. I have an accessibility thing on the bottom, but for most users, you won't have that, and you won't have a physical button either. So what you'll have to do is swipe up to go from one app, the Notes app, for example, to this app. You swipe up slowly. You swipe up slowly to go from one app to another with the app switcher. And if you want to do it really fast, what you would do is you would do something to the likes of swiping up and just switching. So it's pretty much just more convenient just to do it the conventional way, that being just swipe up and just using the app switcher. And pretty much it's pretty easy to use. Some Android phones in comparison, they have it so at the bottom there's a home button, which there is no home button on iPhone, and they have a back button, and then they have an app switcher. What you can do is you can just swipe up to go to the app switcher, and it's pretty simple like that. There are some other gestures I haven't really got used to, but it's pretty simple to just do that. Now, besides that, there are a lot of other things you can do. For example, there's something called the Animoji feature, and you have to go on iMessages. What I can do is I can just go on a random message, and there's a feature when when you're in the text message app, what you can do is you can just press that thing right there when you're on the iMessages and click this monkey icon, and you'll be able to pretty much have your own animated character, and whenever you move your head around and whenever you move your lips, it syncs the speech movement that you have. Whenever you move your lips, it moves. Whenever you turn your head, it moves. Whenever you bring your eyebrows up and down, even when you put out your tongue, and that's a new feature on the latest iOS. And when it comes to updating your phone, by the way, speaking of iOS, you can always just type update in settings. And then I'm not on the latest iOS, but the latest iOS is iOS 13. They have the beta. And you can pretty much just type update in settings, and you can install an update whenever you want to get the latest security and pretty much all of this other stuff that's useful. But Animojis is pretty neat. You can design your own Animoji character as well, but it's a neat feature. So that's another reason I want to bring up the notch. Now, pretty much this is a completely and this is with the physical attributes of it. The back of the phone has a glass back, and if you don't have a case on it, you have a good chance of breaking it. So that's why you should always put on a case, right? And you can get a screen protector for the front. Now, out-of-box cases have the front screen protector and the back protector as well. Now, aside from that, with the front of the screen, there's a completely almost bezel-less screen. Now, on previous iPhones, it didn't have the entire screen, with just the screen. They had the bottom where the home button was. But besides that, this doesn't have a home button, so it's able to utilize more of the screen. But there is this notch at the top. What the notch does, it includes 5 different main features. And on the Samsung Galaxy S10, I believe there's a similar notch as well. A lot of people complain about it, but I don't really notice it that much. What the notch does, it has the face recognition thing for when you unlock your phone. And when you use Animoji, it has the front-facing camera, it has the speakers, and things of that nature. Well, that's what the physical attributes are. There's also an OLED panel where it's a pretty vibrant screen. It's not an LCD screen. That's another feature with it. So now that we covered the apps and the physical attributes of it, and also how to unlock it and use things like Siri, let's get to the camera app. So the camera app, you can pretty much take a picture of whatever. I'm using my iPhone SE to record this video, but you can pretty much record anything you want. Now they have a portrait mode where you can zoom into something very clearly. Now, let me get an object. For example, I'm not advertising this right now, but these are the AirPods. You can zoom into these and anything you want, any picture, and it should look pretty good. Like it blurs in when you have the effect on. So it has a pretty decent camera in my opinion. It's able to shoot videos in 4K and also at 60 frames per second or 1080p, whichever one you like. And the camera, a front-facing camera, it has one front-facing camera and it has a dual lens on the background. So I mean that's how the 4K comes along, and it shoots very good videos. I've seen some people even shoot music videos with it, so it's very good as well. Random fact: this phone doesn't include 5G. 5G, some people report it as being dangerous, but this phone doesn't support 5G. It supports 4G on the newer iPhone models, such as the XR and X 10X Max. I believe they might have 5G. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's something to watch out for. The phone I'm using is the unlocked phone. You can use any carrier you want. It has no SIM card in right now and things of that nature. So let's get on another feature of the phone I forgot about. This is the control center. Now the control center, you can pretty much access a lot of things, and you can customize this within the settings as well. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So this is the power saving mode. Pretty much if you want to, utilize the battery a little bit more and save power, it'll basically slow down the phone a little bit to preserve the battery. On here, you can have your favorite accessories right here. On here, you can screen record the phone, which is very convenient if you want to screen record something, a video, and nobody wants to send it to you on Instagram. So that's another convenient feature. You have a flashlight, which you can use in the dark, which can be helpful. You can get directly to the camera in multiple ways. One way you can get to the camera is turning on the phone and doing that, turning on the phone and double clicking this, and you can access the flashlight like that. Or you can scroll down with the control center, which you can access even when the phone is unlocked, and you can just press the camera button right here. So it's pretty neat, it's pretty convenient, and you gotta love that camera. So the control center is also, you can turn Wi-Fi on and off, and Wi-Fi you can connect when you first turn on the phone. If you don't have mobile data, which comes with any your plan on like any carrier, you can connect to whatever Wi-Fi you want, just pretty much on any standard phone. Even an Android, you can turn Bluetooth on and off. And let me show you how you would connect accessories. So pretty much like, if you want to connect like a Bluetooth device, you can go to the settings. Now that's how you do the Wi-Fi. These are my AirPods. Pretty much I can just select whichever one I want, whichever accessory I want from my list, and it can scan it, all the Bluetooth devices near you. And that's how you connect that. There's no physical auxiliary cord, so you have to use just Bluetooth headphones, or you have to use an adapter that comes with the iPhone. So that's the downside of it, but it is what it is. It's not that much of a big deal in my opinion. There's no physical home button or auxiliary port, and besides that, the phone is very similar. It has similar interiors to the iPhone 8, and overall it's a pretty good phone. Now I can play some audio to let you know the speakers it has. The speakers should be the latest version of speakers that Apple has. What you can do, I'm gonna play a random beat. So the speakers are pretty good on it. I really like the speakers. They're not too bad at all. So that's the speakers on them, and pretty much this runs apps like YouTube, and it runs apps like Instagram. Very good. Now this is a quick speed test to show you how long it takes to open each app, and I'm going to turn power saving mode off. I'm going to open up Instagram. It takes 1, 2, 3, like 2 seconds to open up Instagram. 1, 2, like 2 seconds to open up YouTube. So it's a very fast phone. It's using an A12 chip set, an A12 chip, while the iPhone XS Max uses the A13, which is pretty much faster than what the iPhone 7 has, which is the A11 chip. So it's a pretty fast phone. You'll never have any performance. Now, one thing that might happen is you might open up an app and it might force close. So when it force closes, that's pretty much when you open it up an app, it closes itself and the phone restarts. Now, that's very rare, but it might happen every once in a while. So that's something you can keep an eye out for. So now that we did the sound quality, and we did the speakers, and we did things of that nature, let me show you everything that you can do in the settings. So in the settings, you can turn airplane mode off and on. Airplane mode is pretty much when you don't want to, when you're riding the airplane and they recommend you turn this on. Just, something with the frequencies. I'm not quite sure. I've never rode a plane, so I don't know. But you can connect to the Wi-Fi from there. You can turn Bluetooth on and off. You can connect. A VPN is a virtual private network, which pretty much you can use in school if like they block the certain websites and you want to, or if you want to remain anonymous and hide your location. You can change any of the remote notifications. And speaking of that, on the left side of the phone, you can just turn the ringer off and on. So let's say when you're trying to go to bed, you can just, or when you're in a meeting and you don't want anybody to hear your phone ring, you can turn the ringer off and on using this button, which is pretty neat that on a phone, even like this, after all this time, they still have a physical button like that to turn it off and on. So that's pretty useful. And another thing you can do is you can turn on Do Not Disturb, which is pretty much this moon symbol. So pretty much at nighttime, if you don't want anybody calling you, you can have that on. That's another thing too. Another thing that's useful is when you drive, it automatically puts your phone in the driving mode, so it stops you from being able to access the phone while you're driving unless you configure not to, which is, sorry about that, the video messed up, but what I was saying is it's pretty convenient to have that feature. Well, whenever you drive, it already has it so that you cannot receive any calls or you can't use the phone, because there's quite a bit of accidents that occur on a daily basis in the country. So that's very useful that they put in a feature like that. There's also other features in the settings. You can change and customize the control center. Let's say if you want something like the alarm in the control center. Now when I go to the control center, there's the alarm right there. Now the best thing to do is don't put a bunch of stuff that you don't need on there, because at that point, sorry about that. At that point, if you put a bunch of features that you don't need, it will just fill up your control center. It'll just be pretty annoying. So let me finish this review up. The battery is about to die soon. But besides the control center, you have the display or brightness. You can change the brightness of the phone. You can change the wallpaper on the phone. You have a live wallpaper that whenever you and you change it to perspective. So whenever you move up and down, now sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. But sometimes on some iPhones, when you move up and down, it'll have the wallpaper go up and down too. Besides that, let me see what else they got. Let me turn on power saver mode again. They have Siri and search. You can disable or turn on Siri or whatever. There's this thing where you can turn it on, so you can say, "Hey Siri," and pretty much every time you say "Hey Siri" on the phone, I gotta say it again. "Hey Siri." "Hey Siri, how's the weather today?" "Hey Siri, it's me." So that's pretty much a feature. So pretty much every time you say "Hey Siri," so pretty much that way you don't even have to press a button just to access Siri. So you can say "Hey Siri," and it will do it again. So it's pretty convenient. You can change the voice that you want to on it. You can change the Face ID settings, emergency SOS. You can change the battery. You can turn power saving mode on, which is very convenient because the battery on the iPhone X, it'll last you pretty much a day. You can have it 100 in the morning, and then when you come back from work or whatever, by the end of the day, you'll probably have it at like 10%. That is if you don't use it all day and constantly, and if you have it on power saving mode with medium brightness. So we have iTunes and Apple Pay. I'm not quite sure with how it works because I don't exactly use that. And by default, you'll have the Mail app on the phone, which is pretty much the equivalent to like Gmail for Apple, but I prefer using Gmail. So you can use whatever email you want on that. And it's a whole lot of other settings. So pretty much that's the gist of this. This is a very short and sweet review. It's not the best by no means, by any means, rather, but I just think it's an excellent phone all across the board. And I feel like it gets my 8 out of 10. I feel like if on newer iPhones, like the iPhone 11 next year, if they get rid of the notch and they add back the auxiliary cord and stuff like that, and it'll be pretty neat. If not, it's just it doesn't need to be necessary for them to put it back on. It depends whatever people want. I'm used to the Face ID, but Touch ID might be slightly better. That's one flaw of the phone. Face ID isn't the fastest, but I think overall this is definitely a phone you should invest in. And thank you all so much for watching. Thank you.